As the Christmas season approaches, we're going to be learning some new Christmas songs. The first one we'll look at today is Joy to the World. Now, Joy to the World is a fantastic first Christmas song to learn because it's so similar to our D major scale. Once you're able to play your D major scale, Joy to the World will become really simple. So let's play the D major scale together first, and then we'll see how close it is to the actual song. As a reminder, D major has two sharps, F sharp and C sharp. So we're going to have high twos on our A string and D string. So make sure the second finger squeezes up right behind the third finger. And we're going to be playing half notes, so 2-count bows with the whole bow, and make sure you have a good tone all the way through each note. So here we go. Let's play D major scale together. 1, 2, open, D. Excellent. Now, if we compare the first line of Joy to the World to the second half of our D major scale, when our D scale is descending, coming down, you'll see that the notes are exactly the same. We take this and just change the rhythm, and it becomes this. So make sure that you're really comfortable playing your D major scale coming down, and then you can take that same notes and play it with the new rhythm. You'll notice that in the first measure I added a slur, and that's because that note B, the first finger B, is a really quick note, so it's helpful if we attach it on the same bow as our C sharp. So when you play down bow D, and then you play C sharp and B on the same up bow. So you can have a little bit of a stop there. C sharp, and then B on another up bow, and then open A. Then we come down G, F sharp, E, and that's the entire first line. It's just a D scale. So as we like to learn our songs by practicing them in short sections, go ahead and spend some time now just getting really familiar with the first line. Make sure you can play your D scale coming down very cleanly and with a good rhythm. And once you're ready to move on, we'll look at line number 2. Now, the second line of the Joy to the World is also a D major scale, but now we're going up on the A string. So if you can play this, A, B, C sharp, D, you know all the notes for the second line. We just have to repeat some of them. So the second line goes like this. We just walk up A, B, B, C sharp, and then C sharp, D. Now that last D note, the third finger on the A string, is a really long note. It's 7 whole counts because you have a whole note, which is 4 counts, tied to a dotted half note, which is 3. 4 plus 3 is 7. So make sure that you really slow your bow down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. And then we're ready to start the next line. So the second line, it's very simple. It's just walking up on the A string. Make sure though that since our down bows are 3 counts each and our up bows are only 1 count, that we have to move the up bows really quickly, otherwise our bow will get stuck at the tip. So when you go up bow, get to the frog, and then slow bow, and then a quick bow back to the frog. That might take a few times getting used to it because our bow speeds aren't even. You're going to go fast on the up bows and then slower on the down bows. But the notes themselves are really simple. So again, practice that, and then when you're ready, combine it with the first section, and you should have this much together. Okay, now we have our third line. So the third line is also part of our D major scale. We're going down the D scale again, but only to the F sharp. So we start with our third finger on the A string, and we come down the scale. And it has a little rhythmic change there, A, G, F, and then we do the exact same thing again. So we go back to our third finger, come down the scale, okay, and that's all there is to it to the third line. So it's just our D scale coming down to the F sharp, and you play that 2 times. Then we can look at the fourth line. So the fourth line, we stay on the F sharp that we ended up on from our scale. We come down the scale. So now on the fourth line, we stay on that F sharp, and we're going to play it 4 times. And then we have 2 eighth notes that are slurred together. So just like we did at the beginning, we're going to put them on the same bow. Now you can separate them. I just prefer to slur them because they're pretty quick and it sounds a lot smoother with the slurred bow. So if you're just learning this for the first time and you're just focused on the notes, don't worry about the slur. Just play it nice and slow. But once you're playing it a little bit faster tempo, you might want to think about doing that up slur on the eighth notes. And I marked that in the music, where you have the up bow and the 2 notes are slurred together with the smiley face. Now, when we play that open A from the F sharp, F, 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 G, A here, there's 2 options. You can play the open A. If you do, make sure you do it as a tunnel. So keep your 3 fingers down on the D string. And the reason is because we're going back to the D string again. After that with the note G, and you don't want to have to reset your fingers. So the tunnel, keeping the fingers down while you play open A, saves your work for you. 2, 3, open A, and then we go back to that third finger. The other way that you could play that section on the fourth line would be to play your fourth finger. So if you play F, so you can walk up 2, 3, 4. Now, if you've already learned your fourth finger, I do recommend using the fourth finger there. If you haven't learned fourth fingers yet, go ahead and do your open A, but make sure you use the tunnel. So keep your fingers down when you go over to open A, because you're about to hop back to the note G, your third finger on the D string. Okay, so that's the fourth line. Now, the last line, the fifth line of the song, this is the first time in the entire song that we're not playing a D scale. So all we have to do, though, is start with this big jump from open D to our third finger on the A string. That's called an octave, when we're going from open D up an octave to our high D. And then I have a double up bow marked here. So we have up bow D, and then up bow B, and then we come down a scale, A, G, F, and here we're working our way down to open D. And that open D, we want to make sure we give 4 full counts because it's a whole note. So 1, 2, 3, 4, off. I hear a lot of students who, when they'll play through a song that ends on a long note like that, they'll kind of go like this. They'll play it beautifully, it'll be excellent, and then they just kind of cut the last note short. Don't do that. Make sure you hold it all the way through. If you're going to spend a lot of time making the rest of the song beautiful, make sure you end it on a really good note as well. So that's all of Joy to the World. It's really simple. It might seem fast when you're going through it all at once like right now, but the way that I would practice it is just do 1 line at a time. Say your notes, think about which fingers you're going to use, and then just play that line over and over again, slowly, until you feel really confident with it, and then go on to the next line, and then put those 2 lines together. And before you know it, you'll be able to play it really well. So it might seem a little bit boring, like we did at the beginning, to start with a D major scale, but hopefully, as you could see, this song is just made up of D major scales all over the place. You just kind of change the order, change the rhythms, and voila, you have a new song. So practice your D major scale really well before you try playing Joy to the World, and I promise it'll make it a lot easier. And that does it for this video, Learning Joy to the World. Next time we're going to learn Feliz Navidad. We also have Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer on the list, and We Wish You a Merry Christmas. So if there's any other Christmas songs that you're interested in learning, be sure to let me know. And make sure you get the music. I have the PDFs for both the violin and the viola parts. So yeah, this is a great one to learn at first, and next up will be Feliz Navidad. So happy practicing.